Joe, way above the average flow, boy, my life is most dope. No matter where life takes me, find me with a smile. Be soon to be happy, don't be laughing like a child. I never thought life would be this sweet. It got me cheesy from cheek to cheek, ay, ay. And I ain't gonna wait for nothing, cause that just ain't my style. Life couldn't get better, this gon' be the best day ever. If it ain't about a dream, then it ain't about me. Go a couple full weeks without a good night's sleep. Imagination, making musical creation. The journey that I'm facing, plus the paper that I'm chasing, got me crazy after saying. And with the lames I see you hating, but there's nothing that you changing. Thumbs up, I'm maintaining, no complaining when it's raining.
Everybody, welcome to week two. It's a recap video by Cam Hand, the fantasy man. Absolutely bonkers week to say the least. Lots of dabs coming up. Just lots going on this week, so let's get right into it. First of all, I wanted everybody who watches this video, if you're a fan but you're not necessarily in the league, I want you to comment at the bottom of the video, and that's because I want to do a random rankings where I rank some of the fans that watch the videos that aren't in the league. Now I'm aware of a number of fans that like to watch some of the videos. Haley, Sydney, I know they like to watch. I know Leah, she watches a lot. So there's a few people that I know aren't in the league that watch the videos. So I'll keep that in mind. But I think there's probably some of you I don't realize watch all of these videos. I mean, I get like 40 views per video, so there's got to be a few people that aren't in the league that watch the video. So give me a comment, or if you're in the league and you know somebody who likes to watch the videos, just let me know. Because again, I want to do some random rankings with people who watch the videos that aren't in the league. I think that could be fun. So we're going to start off with worst injury luck going to Dylan for the Joe Burrow potentially season-ending injury. I doubt it'll be season-ending. I just listened to something today that said it might be season-ending, but it's got a little turf toe action, and that's pretty deceptively named, I hear, because turf toe can really keep you out for multiple weeks. But that was a big time loss for Dylan. So easy worst injury luck. Next, we got most unlucky, another easy one. Ash, I mean, he put up, I don't know, I think 120, 130 something. Easily the most points for in a loss. And, that's always a huge bummer. So sorry about that, Ash. Next up, we have most lucky, Will. Will is already making a early case for the just ridiculously lucky team. Normally, it's Doug. Those of us who are familiar with this league know that Doug often is the one with the good record and bad points for. But Will is maybe taking that mantle this year with the 0-2 or 0-2? No, 2-0. That was written wrong. The 2-0 record. He has a sub 100 win last week, so he won with less than 100 points. And he also has the eighth most points for, and he's second in the league. So Will is definitely on fraud watch. Dumbest move, I'm going to put Broker. He played Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt instead of Waddle this week. I mean, I'm a big Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt guy myself. But I have him in Dynasty, and I wasn't going to start him. Like you couldn't have paid me to start Ja'Cory this week because he's going up against that Green Bay D, and Ja'Cory ended up getting 1 point. And keep in mind, this was before the Austin Eckler injury. So I think everybody who knew anything knew that Eckler was going to be more the lead back in this game because, Eckler is more the passing downs back. So, Jane Daniels is going to be getting this pressure. He's going to need that quick outlet pass, that quick check down to Eckler. And that's pretty much how it played out. It was just not a good matchup for Ja'Cory. And not a very smart move by Broker. And meanwhile, you had Waddle on his bench getting him 17. I'm no mind reader or I'm no fortune teller, so I wouldn't have known personally that Waddle was going to pop off. But I did again, I have Ja'Cory in Dynasty, so I did not think this would be a good Ja'Cory game. So, smartest move. I mean, somebody sound the alarms. I mean, I think hell might have frozen over with this one because Bobby gets his first smartest move ever with picking up and playing Quentin Johnston, which got him 17 points. That was huge. And then Tucker Kraft just looked nasty on Thursday night against the Commanders. And I just think the Tucker Kraft pick, seems so far so good for Bobby. So just a really nice week by Bobby. The pickup of Johnston, the drafting of Kraft. His team's looking pretty solid. But yeah, I mean, pigs have flown. Bobby's team, or Bobby has gotten the smartest move, and that is not a place that he's used to being. Next up is best free agent move. Again, Bobby picked up Johnston, and he picked him up for half of what Booty got picked up for by Greg. Bobby picked up Johnston for 50. He looks pretty good. I mean, it's a long season, but he looks good so far. And then Greg picked up Kayshon Boutte for 100 fab. And Boutte got a touchdown this week, but he also only got one catch. So it just seems like a typical Greg, low volume, touchdown dependent guy. We all know Gabe Davis, Xavier Worthy, big guys for Greg. So Boutte might be the next iteration of that. Next up is best player. I'm giving it to Hunter. I mean, it was pretty obvious he had the most points. I mean, he played Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams is looking very good. Hunter has a lot of confidence in Javonte Williams, and it's paying off. And also, Adunze looks great. And Adunze was not an obvious play for Hunter by any means, but he trusted in that Odunze play, and it worked out. Put up 30 plus points. And Hunter's team's just looking really good. So Hunter, best player, no question. Worst player, also no question. 90 points. He got two less points than Dylan. I believe Dylan got 92 points, but Dylan had injuries. Dylan had a Joe Burrow turf toe injury, as we discussed. What's going on over there on Preston's team? I mean, I ranked Preston number one, and then now he's far down. I mean, he's putting up 90 points. I'm sure he's concerned, and I'm sure something we're all afraid of is a desperate Preston because that just means more and more trade requests coming from his side. So just be ready for that, everybody. But yeah, worst player Preston this week. Season segments. Okay, we have is Dabs always first? Yes, we do. Okay, we got a number of Dabs coming. Dabs. I'm not going to talk a lot about the Broker Ash thing because that happened a week ago today, pretty much, and I know nobody else really cares about that. But I have to address it. Broker for not being able to comprehend the idea of liking a receiver and thinking there might be another relevant pass catcher, but not liking the QB in fantasy. He also misinterpreted what I said about Bears pass catchers, and then after getting exposed, he's doing the classic claiming I changed what I said, even though I clearly didn't, and I can prove it. Now, after this, I did have a whole slide showing what I actually said and what Cameron Broker claimed I said. And I have the exact quotes from my original video, and I have exact quotes from Cameron Broker's messages. And he's just wrong about what I said. He thought I said that, I think the quote was, he thought I said Colson Loveland was solid. But when I went back, I actually said I did. I literally specifically said, yeah, I don't really like him at all. I mean, he's okay, I guess, was the exact quote. So there's all these things. Broker just completely put words in my mouth. And I won't talk about this anymore because I know nobody else cares. But essentially, Broker put words in my mouth about the Bears' offense, and then I really wish I could talk about it more. I really wish other people cared about it because it is insane. He's comparing me kind of liking Roma Dudze and liking DJ Moore to me thinking that comparing that to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, it just none of it makes any sense. But I wanted to talk about it. Similarly, I will not talk about much here about what Ashton was doing about a week ago today. Um, I gave dabs to Ashton for using a deceptive language tactic. I'm not even. It never was about his opinion on Doug's bench. It was about a certain way he talked about Doug's bench and my grade. And anyway, he just doesn't get it. Just going over his head. It's fine. But I will say Ashton did say he didn't need hindsight in because I said, oh, hindsight's 2020 on Doug's bench, and he was like, oh, well, I didn't need hindsight, as if he just pops off perfect fantasy takes all day long. Matthew Golden example. Matthew Golden's terrible. Ash loved Matthew Golden before the season, and that's just one example. I'm not blaming Ash. It's just nobody has perfect fantasy takes preseason. I mean, it's pretty much almost impossible. But Ash is just like, I don't need hindsight. I think we all know Ash. He's just popping off perfect fantasy takes 24/7. Already, that was 9 dabs. Already talked about Ash not being able to comprehend his own dabs, 15 dabs. Ashton for taking too much from week one, classic mistake. Charbonnet only got 1 point this week, 5 dabs. Throughout this whole drama, Ashton was like, I don't need hindsight. Like my takes are perfect. Like I'm so good at fantasy. I mean, look at my bench in week one. Charbonnet put up 10 points in week one. It was so sick. I'm so smart. Classic mistake of taking too much from week one. Charbonnet gets 1 point the next week, 5 dabs. But even more egregious than Ash and Broker coming at me is Greg for getting mad about a fantasy debate that didn't have anything to do with them. 8 dabs. I think Greg was kind of trying to back me up a little bit, which I appreciate, but I can't put up with people getting angry in the chat. Greg, if a debate is annoying you, which I don't blame you. I mean, it was pretty annoying. I mean, Ash did take my bench grade of Doug has really shaken Ash to the core, and it is strange. But Greg, it's okay. You just if it doesn't have anything to do with you, you just stay off. It happens to me all the time in Dynasty where I don't really care about the debates that Ash is arguing with Doug about, and I just let it ride. But you got to give Greg dabs for getting angry in the chat. 8 dabs. Greg for quadrupling the next highest bid on Booty, 9 dabs. Greg put up 100 fab, his full fab for Booty. And yeah, he quadrupled the next highest, which was 25, I believe, Hunter. And then Greg for using all of his fab in week one on someone who's not even that good, 11 dabs. Look, maybe Booty ends up being good. He totally could be. He has never been good in his 3 years of playing, and he wasn't good last year with Drake May. But just, I think it's worth dabs. I think Greg would probably agree he should not have spent his full 100 fab on Booty in week one. 11 dabs. He's got none left. But also, that is different from Greg quadrupling the next highest bid on Booty because when doing fab, you got to kind of read the room. You got to get in other people's head of what are they going to bid, what aren't they going to bid. And if you quadruple the next highest bid, you just didn't read the room well, and you just went too high. So those are two separate dabs. This is an interesting story. Greg for not being able to figure out how to turn Flash on an iPhone and thinking it was impossible to do so because of a light on the boat. That is the picture in the bottom right corner. This was actually a summer dab from Utica. We were on a boat. I told Greg to take a picture, I believe, of me and Dylan, me and Bobby maybe, and we needed flash. We needed flash. Greg could not figure out how to turn the flash on the iPhone. And then when confronted about not being able to turn the flash on, Greg said, well, you can't turn the flash on because there's a light behind you. That light is photographed in the right corner, bottom right corner. I said, dude, you can totally, like, you can do flash photography in broad daylight. Like, this light is not stopping us from turning flash on. So just to prove the point, I took the phone, I turned the flash on, and I took a flash picture of the light, which again is what you see in the bottom right corner. 13 dabs. It was really funny, really crazy dabs if you were there, but we just had to prove that point by using a flash on the light that Greg said was stopping the flash from turning on. Um, Bobby for not having paid his league fees yet. 10 dabs. I mean, I'm gonna keep giving him 10 dabs per week. It is insane. I don't think he's paid either Dynasty or Redraft Bobby. And I've texted him about both multiple times, and all he does is send me pictures of drywall and pigs. Pay your league fees, Bobby. It's nuts. Bobby for this is, comes from Hunter. Bobby from tech for texting Hunter that Jaden Higgins is popping off. Seven Devs. He texted Hunter that Jaden Higgins was popping off on Sunday. Jaden Higgins doesn't play till Monday or didn't play till Monday. So Bobby doesn't know what he's talking about, dude. Bobby's not watching ball. He's just doing drywall and not paying his league fees, I guess. Seven Dabs. Doug for me. Okay. I don't normally like to do dynasty ones, but Doug for making fun of my dynasty trades, then offering me the same trade he made fun of me for. Four dabs. Basically, Doug just makes fun of my dynasty trades that aren't even some of them that bad. He was like, "Oh, you gave me a fourth rounder for this is what happened in dynasty. Oh, you gave me a fourth rounder last year, Cameron, for Joe Flacco. How's that working out? Ha ha ha." Meanwhile, I made the finals last year with Joe Flacco in my lineup. Doug didn't even make the playoffs last year. And then, so that's a whole separate dabs, is Doug's making fun of me for trades when his team's not good. And then, second of all, Doug has made the worst trade in dynasty history when he traded Jalen, or he traded the Ravens guy. Oh my gosh, he traded Zay Flowers, traded the pick that became um oh my gosh, I can't remember that. Has made the worst trade in Dynasty. I'm second, but he made the worst trade in Dynasty, and he's making fun of me for Dynasty trades. And then not to mention, and then on top of that, Doug texts me, "Hey, you want to trade us?" Texts me saying Daniel Jones. Oh, you want Daniel Jones? And I'm like, no. And then he's like, "Well, I'll give him to you for a second round pick." And I'm like, "Dude, you were just making fun of me for trading a fourth round pick for Joe Flacco. Why would I then go ahead and trade you a second round pick for Daniel Jones?" It's like if I made fun of Dylan for eating a cookie, and then 10 seconds later I was like, "Hey, you want a cookie? I'll give you this cookie." I'm like, "No, dude, you just made fun of me for doing the exact same thing you're offering me." It's crazy. It should be more than four dabs. Um, Doug, Hunter, and Will for not knowing Dylan was coming to DC, even though he has told them multiple times and they've confirmed. Eight dabs, it should be more. Dylan came to DC this week. Hunter, all three of these guys, Hunter, Doug, and Will, all three didn't know. They were all like, Doug called, Dylan was like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" I talked to Hunter on the phone. He was like, "Oh, Dylan's coming to town. What?" And then Will was trying to give him dabs for not being at bowling. And I was like, "Dude, he's in DC with me." Meanwhile, I bring that up to Dylan. I'm like, "Dude, none of the three of them knew you were coming here." And he was like, "Dude, I've been telling them for the last 3 weeks at bowling I'm coming." And then he was like, "I also texted in a group chat with Doug, Hunter, and Will that he was going to be in DC this week." And they all confirmed it. They're all like, "Oh, okay, have fun in DC." And meanwhile, a week later, all three of them are like, "Wait, what? Dylan's in DC?" I don't know what's going on. I mean, it's the definition of dabs. The only thing that makes sense is that they're ripping dabs 24/7 and they're ripping dabs at bowling. And Dylan's telling them, "Hey, like I'm going to be in DC this week." And Doug, Hunter, and Will are like, "Oh, okay." And then when they're done dabbing, they have no idea what he just said because again, none of them knew he was going to be in DC. It's crazy. Eight dabs. This is a very controversial thing. Doug skipped soccer, um, which you can have good reasons for it. I'm not going to get into what's a good reason, what's a bad reason, but Doug for skipping soccer and not telling anyone until Saturday through a group chat, five dabs. People are upset about this. Doug skipped soccer but didn't tell anybody until a day before. And then that brings me to, I think, even the worst offense is Doug apparently got very mad at Dylan last week for coming a few minutes late to soccer. And then he does so apparently Doug is just berating Dylan. You came a few minutes late. We played a man down. What are you doing? And then Doug does that. He skips soccer the next week, doesn't tell anybody till quote unquote the last minute through a large group chat, doesn't give anyone a reason why, I guess. The large group chat thing was a big point of contention for a few of the soccer guys. But 15 dabs. Dylan for his big time rush comment. Four dabs. We were all sitting talking, and somehow the term "oh man, big time drama" just came up. So it was like we were basically talking, and someone said, "Ooh, big time drama," and then somebody else said, "Oh, big time rush," like as a joke. And then Dylan said, "Oh, there's big time drama with Big Time Rush," and he was like, "Oh, is it because like they just canceled the show?" And we were like, "What are you talking about?" Anyway, it was funny. He kind of had to be there, but I guess Dylan's a little bit more in tune to Big Time Rush than you might think. Cameron for navigating our group onto a highway while riding bikes. Seven dabs. That was a whole thing. Me, Dylan, and Riley were riding bikes around the city, and I was trying to navigate while riding the bike. It's hard to do while holding the phone. And then all of a sudden, we're getting on an on ramp onto a highway, and we were on a highway. It'd be like, I mean, luckily we got off at the next exit, but we had to ride like probably a half mile on a real highway with basically no shoulder. Cars were honking. Luckily, they are electric bikes, so we could go pretty fast, but it was actually pretty alarming, and it was just all of a sudden we were on the highway, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. That seven dabs, those are my first dabs. I mean, it was such clear dabs that I even had to give myself dabs for that one. No doubt about it. And lastly, Hunter for going over to Sydney's house, using all of her tissues, putting them back in the box, and then not throwing the box away. That is photographed above the light photo. Is a box full of used tissues that Hunter left at Sydney's house. 13 dabs, very disgusting, pretty disgusting. But that's classic Hunter. We all know that he likes to use tissues and not throw them away. Back in the day, he would have a whole pack of tissues, and I'd be driving him around, and he would just be blowing his nose into the tissues and then sticking them in my side door, and then not cleaning them up. So I just would always have like a passenger door filled with used tissues. I mean, pray for Haley. I don't. I mean, I'm sure she is like buried in tissues at this point. Um, so yeah, most dabs was Greg though, 41 dabs. I think the quadrupling whatever for the fab for booty, and spending all of his fab week one was pretty crazy. He got mad in the chat, which I don't like. And then that photo, not being able to figure out Flash on an iPhone. I think Greg deserves this week's most dabs. No, Dubs. So this is a new segment, and how this came about was we were actually all at dinner the other day, and I had been kind of playing around with the idea of an anti-Dabs segment. But then Leah, Preston's wife, she called our section Dubs. She thought our Dabs segment was called Dubs, and so we all got a good laugh at her expense there when she said that. But then we were sitting there, we're like, oh my gosh, that's a perfect name for an anti-Dabs segment, Dubs. So I haven't, you guys will have to submit these to me. I might not have dubs every week, but this week, I just so you can see examples of dubs. Doug for blocking Tyler's penalty kick for the win last week. 9 dubs. I mean, that's huge dubs by Doug. Preston for hitting a sick parallel parking job this week. 2 dubs. We're all in the car. They have a rental car right now. It's a huge what? It's not an Escalade, but it's a Yukon, whatever those are called. And everybody was like, dude, no way Preston's going to be able to hit this parallel parking job. Nobody believed in him. Bam, nailed it, dude. First try, it was sick. Haley for drafting a disgusting team for Tyler, 4 dubs. We all know Haley drafted Tyler's team, and that team popped off this week. Will for having actually gotten his soccer team earlier scheduled games, 5 dubs last week. I gave Will Dabs for telling me that he got his soccer team scheduled earlier games so they could watch football. But then I heard that he lied about that, but then Will showed me proof, so I had to reverse his last week dabs and give him dubs this week. Dylan for coming to Washington D.C., 6 dubs. Uh, we were out and about, and Dylan got a drink from sent to him by some ladies. 7 dubs. Dylan actually won $175 cash at the casino we went to. 7 dubs. Ashton for about to be having a child. That sounds weird, but Ashton I think is having a kid soon. That's 8 dubs. It's not quite as many dubs as Doug blocking Tyler's penalty kick, which was 9 dubs, but it's a good amount of dubs. I also recently heard that Ashton got a job as a special ed teacher, 7 dubs. That seems like a great job for Ashton, and I know, solid job. I was happy to hear it. Seems like it's something he'd like. And then again, Leah, for inspiring the dubs segment, you got to give her 10 dubs for coming up on, even though she accidentally came up with it. It's definitely dubs because I think it's a great idea for a segment. So you guys are going to have to start submitting dubs. League standings. There's actually been a lot of change here. Now it's only week two, so that's why we're going to see a lot of change. You'll see Preston shot down from 3 to 10 after this week's pitiful performance. Tyler shot up after a disgustingly good win from 11 to 6. Yeah, you'll see another thing: Ashton moving up, Matt moving down one, me moving way down from 5 to 8, I believe. So Greg moving up. So you guys can check it out. But the most notable guys are the stock rising guys and Hunter, who popped off for the most points this week. Went from ninth to third. Javante Williams looks great. Roma Dunze looks good. Kenneth Walker, you had a great week to Ash's dismay. Kenneth Walker way outplayed Charbonnet this week, but we'll see how next week goes. And then stock falling is an obvious Preston. I ranked his team first, and then after his loss, or he won, but it wasn't a great win. I put him at third, and now he's all the way down to 10th. So, I mean, that's the definition of stock falling for Preston. Next week's marquee matchup is Hunter versus Tyler. Obviously, they play soccer together, so that's always like they're going to be in each other's face on Sunday. It's going to be pretty intense. And then they're the top two rising stars right now going against each other. I mean, Tyler put up, I believe, the second most points last week, and Hunter put up the first, and they both were shot up in my rankings that were a few slides ago. So I think that is a huge matchup. Can't wait to see the results of that. Would like to hear some dabs and dubs coming from that matchup. Most annoying was Doug. I mean, I talked about it, but he's constant, dude. He constantly brings up my two bad dynasty trades. It's the Joe Flacco for like a third or fourth rounder, and then it's the first year we played Deshaun Watson trade. When again, Doug's dynasty team isn't even good. He's made playoffs once, didn't make playoffs last year. I'm a competitor for the championship every single year. I should have beat Bobby last year. And meanwhile, Doug's sitting here making fun of a Joe Flacco trade that I made last year that didn't even matter. And then he's coming at me, oh, hey, like, do you want to do the exact same trade I just made fun of you for? I'm like, no, I don't want to make the same trade you just made fun of me for. Ugh. Who had that dog? Obvious Tyler put up the second most points against an overconfident Cameron, myself, team. And he really showed up. He dominated after a lot of hate last week. I gave him a lot of hate for his Ravens defense play, which was warranted because he played him against the Bills. But then the Ravens D popped off this week against me. I just gave Tyler a lot of hate last week, and he also, like I said, he got stuffed by Doug for the win in soccer. So I just think he had a really down week, but Tyler didn't let that get him down. He came out, put up the second most points in the league. Yes, Haley drafted his team, but you know what? Still dog for Tyler. Still dog. Here's the update. Yeah, whatever. I have no TikToks this week. I saw nothing funny. Will sent me some, but I didn't think any of the ones that Will sent me were funny, so I didn't put them on. And then random rankings. Let's close it out. I had Ashton do a random rankings this week. It's pretty interesting. Ball knowledge, according to Ashton. So this is how much you know ball. He did real sports and fantasy. So Ash, I think Ash and Cameron Broker must just kiss like all day, every day when we're not playing fantasy because Ash they are just two peas in the pod. Like right after the video comes out, both of them just start coming at me for my quote unquote bad takes, and then both of their takes on my takes are just horrifically bad. But Ash, and no surprise here, puts Ash and himself as the top two real ball knowers. Real ball knowers, Ashton and Broker. I'm not going to get mad about it, but when I just saw that, when I just really thought about it, Doug, Greg, Matt, Preston, Cameron. I mean, I don't know how in the world Preston's above me in real ball knowledge. Preston doesn't watch any of the games. I watch every game. Dylan, Will, Tyler, Hunter, Bobby. I mean, Hunter, Bobby is that makes sense, but I'm way too low. Like, there's no way that whatever. But fantasy ball knowledge, Broker. I put the zero next to him. I put the zeros next to Ashton and Broker because those are the amount of championships that either of them. Yeah, I put zero next to them because that's the amount of championships in any fantasy sport either of them have won. Zero championships for Broker, zero for Ash, but according to Ash, both of them are the top fantasy football ball knowers. Meanwhile, we have Doug and Cameron here, who I have two championships. Doug has one or two, I forget. Um, but that's cool. Greg, Matt, Preston, Will, Bobby, you guys see your names there. Um, so that's fantasy ball knowledge. And then lastly, love of the game, according to Ashton. Real sports. Ash and Broker, of course, they love real sports the most. Apparently, they are on Discord a lot together. They're probably just bouncing bad takes off of each other. So that's probably how that happens. But Doug three, somehow Doug likes real sports more than me. I'll tell you what, Doug's not texting me asking me to play football on Sundays. I'm the one who's texting Doug to play football on Sundays. Preston, Greg, Matt, Tyler, Will. Will, I guess, doesn't love real sports. Dylan, Hunter, Bobby. That's a legitimate three. Fantasy, love of the game. Preston, I guess. I mean, Preston will text trades. Preston is not does not love fantasy more than me or Doug or Broker, but Broker number two, Doug. Four, I put this little sidebar here for myself. I make these videos every week. I come up with all the ideas for how we should do the draft, how we should do the draft lottery. I also play fantasy baseball. I play fantasy basketball. Nobody has the dog to play those two sports because it's like a long grind of fantasy. I am Cam Hand the fantasy man. Fantasy is my life. And I'm number four on ball. Do you know how like I make these videos? It's crazy, dude. That's how much I love fantasy sports. It's crazy. Ash five, Matt six, Greg, Hunter. I just think that I mean the love of the game for fantasy is just I mean, it's just an egregiously bad list. Like Greg cares about fantasy less than Ashton. Greg, I can call Greg up at 3 in the morning and he's down to talk fantasy. Greg loves fantasy. Hunter, Will, Dylan, Bobby, Tyler. Um, I think Ash put Tyler pretty low just because he's a newbie. But yeah, those are pretty egregious, just they're egregious lists. But I appreciate Ash doing it for us because it is fun to talk about, and I do like to get everybody's opinion. So don't take that personally. But yeah, all right, great week two. I'm looking forward. I got a big matchup versus Matt in week three. And yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget, people who are fans that are not in the league, comment. And let me get back to that page. Comment so I can use you guys for a random rankings in the future. All right, have a good week, guys.